The restaurant was softly lit, the hum of quiet conversations filling the air. But to her, there was only silence. Sitting alone at a table near the window, Lena nervously adjusted her hair, glancing at the entrance every few seconds. She had spent hours getting ready, her soft floral dress, a touch of lipstick, her favorite silver earrings that she couldn't even hear jingling. Tonight was her first date in 2 years, arranged through a friend who promised the guy was different. But as soon as he arrived, she saw the flicker of disappointment in his eyes. He was handsome, confident, loud in a way she could feel more than hear. He sat down, already avoiding her gaze. Lena pulled out her small notepad and pen, ready to write something sweet, a little icebreaker. But before she could even start, he waved his hands, shaking his head. He pointed at her ears, then at his phone, and typed something. "You didn't say you were deaf." "Sorry, I can't do this." Her heart dropped. She watched him stand up, grab his jacket, and leave without even looking back. The waiter walked past, pretending not to notice her trembling hands. Lena stared at the half-empty glass of water in front of her, the flickering candlelight making her vision blur. She felt the familiar sting of being too different in a world built for sound. But what she didn't notice, not yet, was that someone was watching. At the table next to hers, a man in his mid-30s sat with a little girl who was coloring quietly. The man, Ethan, had seen everything, from the hopeful way Lena's eyes lit up when her date arrived to the heartbreak when he left. He'd seen that expression before, the one that said, "Why wasn't I enough?" Ethan's daughter tugged his sleeve and signed, "She's sad." He nodded slowly, watching Lena wipe her tears and try to steady her breathing. Something inside him stirred, that quiet H only a single parent knows. When you see pain you can't ignore because you've felt it yourself. He turned to his daughter, signed something gently, and then looked back at Lena. When she finally glanced his way, he raised his hands and began to sign. Not perfectly, but enough for her to understand. "You deserve better." Lena froze, eyes wide, tears still glistening. For a moment, she thought she was imagining it. No one had ever signed to her before, not a stranger, not in public. She felt her lips tremble as she signed back, "You know sign language." Ethan smiled, nodding. His daughter peeked up shyly. Waving, "My daughter's deaf too." He signed slowly. Something inside Lena cracked open, a fragile mix of surprise and warmth. She smiled back, the first real smile in what felt like forever. He gestured toward the empty seat across from him, asking if she'd like to join them. She hesitated, but then she stood, picked up her glass of water, and walked over. And in that simple movement, one quiet step, her whole life began to change. Lena hadn't expected the evening to unfold the way it did. They talked, or rather, signed, for hours. Ethan told her about his daughter Mia, how she'd lost her hearing after a high fever at age 3. He'd learned sign language just to talk to her, and even though he wasn't perfect, the effort showed. Lena told them about her life. Growing up feeling invisible in classrooms, people speaking around her, pretending she wasn't there. She spoke of the silence that sometimes felt like a prison, but also a comfort. Ethan listened, really listened, not with his ears, but with his heart. By the time the restaurant lights dimmed, the three of them were laughing silently, hands moving in rhythm, faces bright. Maya had drawn a picture of the three of them sitting together, and she handed it shyly to Lena before they left. Ethan paid the bill and asked if he could walk Lena to her car. Under the glow of the streetlights, she turned to him and signed. "Thank you. No one's ever done that before." He smiled softly. "You deserve someone who sees you." Her chest tightened at his words. For once, she didn't feel broken. She felt seen. They said goodnight, but both of them lingered longer than they needed to, not wanting to break the moment. As Ethan walked away holding Mia's tiny hand, Lena stood by her car, watching them, something warm blooming quietly in her chest. The next few weeks turned into something unexpected. Ethan and Lena began meeting often. Coffee shops, playgrounds, small parks where Maya could run freely. Ethan's world, once filled with work and quiet evenings, started to glow again. Lena began to find her voice, not the one that made sound, but the one that could make someone feel understood. But happiness, Lena had learned, always came with fear. One afternoon, as she waited for Ethan at the cafe, she saw her ex date again. The same man who had rejected her. He looked surprised to see her laughing, signing with Ethan and Mia through the window. He walked up, a smirk on his face, and typed something on his phone before showing it to her. "Didn't expect you to find someone desperate enough, huh?" The old pain flared, humiliation, anger, shame. But before she could react, Ethan stepped beside her, calm but firm. He looked the man dead in the eyes and signed, slowly, deliberately, every motion strong and clear. "She's not broken. You are, for not seeing her worth." The man scoffed and walked off, muttering, but Lena stood frozen, not from fear, but awe. For once, someone stood up for her. Someone who saw her, not her silence. Ethan turned to her, his expression softening. "Never let anyone make you feel less, because you're different. You're not less, you're more." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she smiled, unable to stop the flood of emotion. She signed back, "You changed how I see myself." Ethan shook his head gently. "No, Lena. You just needed someone to remind you who you've always been." Months later, that same restaurant, where she'd once been rejected, was filled with laughter again. The three of them sitting at the same table, celebrating Mia's birthday. Lena had learned to bake her favorite cake, and Ethan couldn't stop smiling. As the candlelight danced across their faces, Ethan reached out, taking Lena's hand in his. He signed, "Sometimes the best things in life don't come from what we hear, but from what we feel." Lena smiled, tears in her eyes. "And I feel everything when I'm with you." Outside, the world moved on, loud, restless, unaware. But inside that small corner of the restaurant, three souls spoke the purest language there was. Love in silence. And in that silence, Lena finally found the sound she had been waiting for all her life. The sound of being understood.